Master, please, what's going on? Are we still in danger? Came the concerned plight of the whole of Fisher villages as Alicia approached. She gave no response, simply moving slowly through the crowd, letting her reputation alone control the masses. Making her way to her destination, realizing as always her duty has to come first. Alicia, standing 5 feet 5 inches without heels, stood surrounded by a confused crowd of panicked and frightened citizens as she carefully hoped for clothing, staring into the eyes of a working shopkeeper. I'm going to need a single female body wrap, sir. Do you have one? Of course, Master Alicia. Will plain white suffice? Came the uncertain words of the shop owner as he provided Alicia with what she requested. Order and silence radiated from Alicia as the panicked citizens acknowledged her presence. Her name floated on the wind through the small village, inspiring hope in those who were knowledgeable of the Grand Master. To Alicia, their immediate needs were trivial to the current circumstances. It was more than a dying wish that Kwajalynn is protected and hidden. Alicia understood that the return of Azure Mare was the single most frightening thing any mare could ever imagine in their wildest of dreams. The goddess Azure Mare is pure evil in literal reincarnation. If anyone in the village found out that Kwajalynn was a blood descendant of Azure Mare, plain white would do just fine. Alicia, distracted by the very thought of what would happen if the truth was revealed, not just Kwajalynn, but to herself as well. With every fiber in her being, Alicia fought back her demons as she departed Fisher Village. Beyond the village limits, arriving at her granddaughter's side with a body garment concealed in the bushes, Alicia found Kwajalynn whimpering the pain of loss still held strong on Kwajalynn's spirit as her mother's essence continued to fade into infinity. Kwajalynn was sat cloaked in the shadows, legs together, arms folded atop her knees, staring off into the distance, her posture unchanged by Alicia's approach. Alicia stood over Kwajalynn for several moments, gesturing to Lynn to take the garment. Alicia knew that her granddaughter needed time to mourn, to accept the fact that her mother was gone and would never return. Salt water flowed to the corners of Kwajalynn's lips. A flood pooled in the corner of her eyes. The burden of truth's weight was heavy, only outweighed by the self-guilt and sorrow. It's my fault, she went. Kwajalynn's words were empty and hollow as she reached for the garment in Alicia's hand. Blank, expressionless gaze locked on the grass. Never fight, Lynn. Every day she warned me never to fight. Kwajalynn is somewhat trying to regain control of her emotional state, standing to her full height, too weak from emotional shock to even dress herself. If only I'd listened, she could still be here, Kwajalynn thought. Alicia stood in silence for several moments while wrapping and securing Kwajalynn's garment delicately. Alicia lifted Lynn's chin, slowly guiding the young lady's eyes to make contact with her own. Death is a journey we all will take, but the greatest fear of any mother is the death of their children before their own death. Your mother didn't die because of your action. She gave her life to save yours. It's the first thing a woman learns when she becomes a mother. Alicia explains, experiencing the truth of her own words as she deals with the loss of her only child. Escorting Kwajalynn into Fisher Village, her words doing little more than providing comfort, for nothing can be found that could allow Kwajalynn to find peace from guilt of her mother's death. Hey, look, it's Kwajalynn, came the whispers from the crowd. Alicia's fear seemed to be entirely true. Somehow they know that Kwajalynn is responsible for the present carnage. From out the crowd, a young girl pushes her way forward, no higher than Kwajalynn's knee. Kwajalynn, why are you crying? Don't be sad, the young girl exclaimed, her arms gesturing for a hug. With great care, Kwajalynn squatted down to the young girl's level and returned the gesture. Kwajalynn's face still covered in tears, the young girl leaped into Lynn's arms, sharing in Kwajalynn's pain, still unaware of the full extent of the circumstance, yet pained by the simple fact that her friend was in pain. What's wrong? You're the most strongest warrior in the world. Was Borus being mean again? The young girl's compassion was beginning to overwhelm Alicia, yet her presence seems to be having the opposite effect on Lynn. The tears were stopping and her smile was returning. No, Aki. Borus isn't being mean again, Lynn chuckled. I'm afraid that I was being defeated by a strong opponent, Kwajalynn explained. No way, Aki responded in disbelief, her words broken from her sublet sobbing, overwhelmed by the very idea. That's impossible. You're the strongest girl in the world, stronger than an elemental warrior, stronger even than the master, stronger even than the gatekeeper. No one can beat you, Kwajalynn. You could even destroy the entire forest without even trying. Little Aki boosted, reflecting on the strength Kwajalynn has displayed to her in the past. The whole of Fisher's village was gathered around them. I used to believe that was true, Aki, but you see, I really was defeated. Bosca village is gone, and it's my fault because I wasn't strong enough. Soldiers from another kingdom overwhelmed the village, and I was nearly killed when Kwajalynn wanted nothing more than to tell the truth, but she couldn't. But she knows she couldn't. She know the stories about the return of such evil, so she chose deception through misdirection instead. That's when Yshanna came to my rescue. I was defended and unconscious, so I don't know what happened. All I know for sure is that if it weren't for Grandmaster Yshanna, I would be gone. Aki stood silently before Kwajalynn, speechless, when the crowd exploded in applause to Kwajalynn's words. It appeared as though they were moved by Lynn's story, and once again Lynn readied herself, caught off guard by the current situation. The citizens of Fisher's Village cheered not for Yshanna but for their local protector, proof that Kwajalynn was in fact stronger than the master. This was not good, Yshanna knew, for the local elemental would be investigating. It is going to be difficult for Yshanna to hide Kwajalynn, knowing that Kwajalynn has a bit of a local reputation. Foolish praise for a foolish reputation, Kwajalynn giggles inwardly, smiling brightly as denial relived some of her pain. Alicia's posture changed as she eyed Lynn, concerned, not understanding. Mom always said that to me. When I would tell her of my reckless behavior, that was what she called my behavior. My desire to be a great warrior was a foolish desire. Overly emotional, Kwajalynn floated between joy and sorrow, lost in hate as she reflected on her mother trying to cope with her loss. Kwajalynn, Yshanna commanded over the crowd, you can't stay here. It's not safe, and I need you to go to Notice Tree City. Kwajalynn's gaze fell on Yshanna as she listened to her words. No, came Kwajalynn's response. My sister and brother need me, and I'm going after them. Kwajalynn returned. Yshanna only half heard, distracted by the approach of the sector regional elemental warriors. If he found Kwajalynn, she'd be in prison for sure. Dangerous praise was more suited, for if the investigation led the elementals to hear Lynn would be investigating and detained. Kwajalynn, listen to me. I don't have much time to explain. You know what I know. I share your mother's greatest fear. Please prove you're not a reckless fool and heed warning. Do not go after your brother and sister for the moment. I need you to go to Notice Tree City and speak to King Notice. I promise I will see that your brother and sister are safe and do everything in my power to see them return to you. You have a condition. Yshanna spoke to in code. Do not allow your blood to touch the ground. It will bring you ill will. Do you understand? Lynn's silence forced aggression out of Grandmaster Yshanna. Lynn, do you understand? I asked you a question. Do you understand? Yes, came Lynn's response. No spilled blood. Fighting is dangerous. My mother has said this to me before. Now more than ever is the time to start listening to your mother, Lynn. Like it or not. It is that serious. The faith. I know the faith of the realm is threatened. I get it, Lynn interrupted. I'm glad we understand each other. Treat your wound. Then you are to head straight to Notice Tree City and speak to Notice. He will be expecting you. Now I must return to Boston Village to speak with the elemental warriors. I warn you not to stay here too long. It's not safe for you. Vanishing before Kwajalynn could respond, Yshanna had left to confront the local elemental warrior before leaving. Kwajalynn, surrounded by the citizens of Fisher Village, while her praise was slowly dying down. Before being questioned herself, Kwajalynn left Fisher Village, but without the grace and speed of Master Yshanna.